morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we're going to look at some very annoying cards, which all could see a lot of play, and if you want to annoy your opponent, oh my word, this is the video for you. So starting off then, we've got ourselves a Spiritomb, and let's be clear, right? Spiritomb has a real history of being really good, but also really annoying in the Pokemon TCG. So we had the Spiritomb which turned off A-Specs. That was kind of good. We had the Spiritomb that, with Building Spike, that was really, really good. I liked that one an awful lot. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's been a bunch of good annoying Spiritombs. Oh, and the item-locking Spiritomb. How could I forget the item-locking Spiritomb? That one was an all-timer. So with all of that borne in mind then, this new Spiritomb's got quite a lot to live up to. Does it? Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, like it totally does, ladies and gentlemen. It totally does. You see, what we've got here is a rather ridiculous ability. The attack's 1 colorless energy, 10 damage, put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. That one actually took me a weirdly long time to translate. I did translation myself and I checked with the lovely Antoine Boulet. It's fine. It's good for getting it off the board. That's the best I can do. But the ability here is amazing. Basic Pokemon V in play have no abilities. Oh. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is like absolutely flat out redonkulously ridiculous. And there's a bunch of different things we can go for here. Like, one of the obvious ones for me is Genesect. This seems to be like screaming out, ha ha ha, in your face, Genesect. And this is going to suck for Genesect, right? If you're a Mew player. Because here's the thing. This just has to be on the board. It is a basic Pokemon that just has to be on the board. So if you start with this, Genesect has no abilities for the whole game. Like, Pokemon keeps printing really explicit counters to Mew. And this might be, like, the most explicit one we've seen so far. This is going to turn off Genesect in a frankly hilarious way. And, yeah. This is going to be kind of hilarious. Basic Pokemon on the field, boom, Genesect goes away. And there's a million others you can do here. Weirdly enough, including Drapion, which of course is a big counter to Mew. So maybe in the same way they've been using Path to the Peak when they're set up to turn off Drapion, maybe they could use this to turn off Drapion when they're set up. I would not put it past Mew players to do that, frankly. I'd like to think that's a step too far. You never know, ladies and gentlemen. You never know. The point is, any basic Pokemon V ability gets turned off here, and that's honestly kind of ridiculous. So maybe it's Mew you're trying to counter against, or maybe it's one of a million other Pokemon. Either way, all of them are going to get turned off, like, instantly, and this is just fantastic. And I imagine this is going to see a bunch of play just for that. There's a million others you can go for here, but certainly that seems to be one of the most obvious. So yeah, it's a 5 Wossie card. I'm not saying it's going to see a huge amount of play everywhere. I'm saying it is a basic Pokemon that just by virtue of being on the field will wreck entire decks. For that alone, it's got to be a 5 Wossie card. Now, Giacomo comes in, makes their debut in the game here. First ever Giacomo card. And it's a supporter card that reads, discard 1 special energy card from each of your opponent's Pokemon that has any attached. Again, I got this one, but this one took me a little while. There's some awkward translations this morning. And look, the deal here is really simple. If all you're doing is discarding a special energy, it's fine. It's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. But it's not you're not exactly getting full value out of this, I think it's fair to say. Like, Xerosic was a card that saw a bunch of play, and that let you just get rid of a special energy or a tool, and the fact you get a tool was kind of big. But there were plenty of times we'd use Xerosic just to get rid of a single special energy. Like, that does it alone. And that's kind of cool, honestly. But I am going to also be honest with you, that's not as good as this when this gets rolling. The ideal here is really simple. Your opponent is a deck that relies on special energy. If they spread their energy out in any way, shape, or form, you can just come along here and kind of hilariously just shut them down and get rid of them all. And that's kind of hilarious. And the deal is simple. Against decks that rely on special energy, this is awesome. Against decks that don't, this will do nothing. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's the best I can do for you right now. But moving on, we got a couple of stadiums, and here's the thing, and this makes me sad to say. Look at them. They're not Kato stadiums, and I love me some Kato stadiums. I've been pretty clear about that. However, I do love the artwork. I really, really love the artwork on these stadiums. I think they're stunning, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely stunning. Odashima's done an amazing job here, but they're not... Oh, it just makes me sad. They're not Kato stadiums. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But we've got Calamitous Snowy Mountain, or Disaster Snowy Mountain, or it basically's got Disaster Snow Mountain, or Snow Mountain of Disaster? Disaster of the Snow Mountain? It's something along those lines, all right? There we go. Point is, what it says is, whenever any player attaches an energy from their hand to one of their non-water basic Pokemon, they take 2 damage. And I have double-checked this. It is any energy. It only works when you attach to basic, and it does have to be from your hand. What that means is, if you're using stuff like, let's just use the example, Terra Fortress, which lets you attach 5 from the deck if you KO it, you won't take the damage here. It's only from the hand. If you attach to Evolve Pokemon, you won't take it. It is basic non-water Pokemon, take 2 damage counters. And we've kind of seen things like this before, honestly. Frozen City, that was one that we saw a whole bunch of play for quite a while. This was an energy from the hand to any non-Team Plasma Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on. So that was a thing. We saw it with Old Cemetery, whereby if you attach an energy from your hand to a non-psychic Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. The big difference here is that it is only basic, which means you can actually use this to attach to evolve non-water Pokemon and you'll be fine. It's giving an advantage to evolution decks, which I really appreciate. I hope they do more of in the future. This will probably see a little bit of play here and there. I kind of like it. It's all right. It's fine. And we all know we got that Chien-Pao deck, which seems like it might be quite good. So this is going to see a bunch of play in there as well, and that's rather lovely. Let's go and give this one a tentative 4 Wassies. Probably a little too generous, but it could see play in a whole bunch of decks. Cool. Oh, I didn't score a supporter, did I? Let's give that 4 Wassies as well. And that means we are finishing off here with our other stadium, which what we basically got here is Disaster Wasteland, or Calamitous Wasteland, or something along those lines. And it's a very similar kind of card. The retreat cost for each player's Pokemon is increased by 1, except for fighting type Pokemon. So it's kind of half of a Galamine, but it doesn't work for fighting Pokemon, which is kind of interesting. Galamine, of course, increased it by 2. This increases by 1, but it doesn't work for fighting Pokemon. Okay. And this could be pretty good in fighting decks. Now remember, one of the things we've got coming in this set is Ting Lu. And yes, that's why we got a water and a fighting stadium for Chien-Pao and Ting Lu. That is not a coincidence. And one of the things that does is turn off abilities of Pokemon that have damage counters on. So you're playing a pretty disruptive deck anyway. Being able to trap a Pokemon in the active using this stadium seems like a pretty fun thing to do as well. This one, I don't know. I do think it's going to see a bunch of play because Galamine saw a bunch of play. We've seen a bunch of stopping retreat stadiums in the past. Funny thing is, this is literally the opposite of Beach Court. Remember, Beach Court is basic Pokemon have their retreat cost reduced by 1. This increases it by 1. I know it's not exactly the opposite because Beach Court only works on basics, but it's a very similar thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very similar thing. And once again, I expect this to see a bunch of play. I don't expect this to be an absolute staple in every deck moving forward or anything stupid like that. I expect it to see a bunch of play. And it really is as simple as that. Once again, I'm going to give this one another very tentative 4 wassies. I don't think it's a stunning card that's going to see a ridiculous amount of play, but I do think it's a very useful card that can help some decks a lot and hurt some decks a lot. So there we go. That's what you need to know, ladies and gentlemen, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these cards. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus pods, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Tobias DePrato, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So thank you for the support, and for being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.